Turks, I'm your host, Cenk Uygur. We got an awesome show for you tonight. Yes, Ted Cruz is up first, batter up. Hold, I'm gonna get to him in a second. Apparently that's what he did, he held. Anyways, now I'm just getting started, Edwin. I'm just getting started. Hold tight. Okay, we're gonna release in a sec. Hold, okay. Anyway, so that's a very important story, obviously. But also later in the program, we might be inching towards an impeachable offense. Drums, and that is important drums. Furthermore, Democratic Party beginning to grow a spine. We've got 12 people on the board now, all of a sudden, for Medicare for All. Amazing momentum. I'm gonna tell you exactly what's happening there. You gotta hear that story and how we're doing it, how it's happening, okay? And then in the second hour, a wonderful piece of political correctness by the right wing. So they are insisting that we use different politically correct terms, and it's not about climate change. It's literally unbelievable. Okay, anyway, that's in the second hour. We got a great, amazing show for you guys. Time for Ted Cruz. Let's go. Okay. Ted Cruz is the conservative family values senator from Texas. That's what he tells us all the time. So it was curious that late last night, he liked something on Twitter that's got everybody scratching their heads, if you will, as to what he was doing and thinking last night. Let's show you a PC version of the tweet here, or a PG version, I should say. Now, what that lady is looking at is a couple copulating in the living room. She is then excited by that copulation and winds up pleasuring herself. Now, this is a thing that Ted Cruz is very much against. He even wrote legal briefs against pleasuring yourself, which I'll get to in a little bit. So it's not just a silly story, it also has important ramifications, if you will. So, of course, Twitter then immediately exploded, as did apparently Senator Cruz. Okay, just getting started. So he was referencing a point there. Apparently he very much liked it, or someone on his staff or his staff very much liked it. And so there's no question that it was liked, and it stayed up for at least 40 minutes. Now I'm gonna show you a couple of my own tweets here, and we're just warming up here because the main thing I wanna show you is your guys' response to my tweets. So I wrote, can't wait for the Ted Cruz book. If I did it, here's how it happened. Actually, wait. Wouldn't read that book if my life depended on it. Then I went to, first Ted Cruz was known as a serial killer, now he's known as a serial masturbator. What a catastrophe. So now, I'm gonna get to the serial masturbator in a second, because this is not his only masturbation controversy, believe it or not. This is an awesome story. Okay, then I went to hashtag what happened is no longer just the title of Hillary's book. It's the reaction Ted Cruz has this morning when he turned on Twitter. Then here's the main reason I'm showing you these tweets. The responses from you guys were awesome. Here was the first response to that last tweet. Why? What happened with the lady? That's such a great picture. I love that picture. Why? What happened? Okay, I saw a couple of screenshots, and one was the couple in mid-copulation. The other one was when she had gone to work on herself and the guy was outside. And boy, I mean, these are some hard issues to tackle, okay? But Ted Cruz is the man for the job. I know it's a little sticky, but anyway, so now then somebody said in this tweet, which now might be my favorite picture of all time. That's Ted Cruz dialing for Donald Trump with Jordan's crying face on it. You guys are awesome. All right, so now then there's general Twitter. They went to work on it on my homes too, as did he himself. So here is Matthew writing in. It's Matthew D'Ambrosio. Me waiting for Ted Cruz to respond to this drama. Okay, and then here's John Favreau. This is the night that Ted Cruz became president. That's really funny. Okay, then his old Princeton roommate got back into the action. Now, this guy's name is Craig Mazin. He roomed with Ted Cruz, and he is the first one to point out that Ted Cruz is a serial masturbator. So he had pointed this out back in 2016 when Cruz was running for president. He said, Ted Cruz thinks people don't have a right to, quote, stimulate their genitals. I was his college roommate. This would be a new belief of his. Now, so that's an old controversy. I'm gonna get back to that because that actually is the substantive part of this story. Ted Cruz is wanted to put people in jail for pleasuring themselves. I'm not kidding. So I can't wait to see who he's gonna lock up in his own office, whether it's him or a staffer. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But Craig Mason, his roommate, now jumps back in today and says, now imagine Ted Cruz is doing this 4 feet below you in the bottom bunk bed. Yes, my misery very much appreciates your company. Now look, if Ted Cruz was a young male masturbating in college, that is not going to be breaking news. And it might actually be one of the most human things he's done. On the other hand, doing it while the other guy is still in the room, I hope not a direction a lot of other dudes went in, okay? So, I mean, how uncomfortable that, hey, I'm your freshman year roommate, good to meet you, good to meet you. All right, anyway, let's call it a night. What in the world is he doing? Jesus Christ, you're awkward, Ted. And then speaking of awkward, just a little while ago, he had tweeted this: we have to deliver now. I believe we can come together. We have to. That sounds like something Ted might say. We have to come together. We have to. All right, Ted. All right. Okay. So Craig is also thinking along the similar lines as I am, his college roommate. Sadly, the fact that Ted Cruz jacks off to mediocre porn spam is the most human thing we can say about him. This is actually his high point. I agree. Well, actually, he was maybe a little bit high and then not high at all anymore after that. But and I don't know that it was mediocre. I've yet to watch that clip, but I thought, I wonder who she is. Why is she looking in? Who are they? How does this all end? I know how it ended for Ted Cruz. Anyway, look, him, masturbating to porn. Whatever, who cares? I don't care. I don't care that he did it in college, although can't have the decency to wait for your roommate to leave the room. And I don't care that he does it as a senator or as a grown man. What I do care about is his hypocrisy. Back in 2004, he was the Solicitor General for the state of Texas. He wrote a 76-page brief. Let me tell you what was in that brief. Let's go to Vanity Fair here. He was defending a state law banning the sale and advertisement of sex toys, or quote, obscene devices as he called them, an offense he then punishable by up to 2 years in jail. In fact, he continued banning obscene devices. He continued banning obscene devices was in the public interest, and the government should be granted police powers for the purposes of quote, discouraging prurient interest in sexual gratification, combating the commercial sale of sex, and protecting minors, indeed. He went on to say, furthermore, using obscene devices, the state argued, was akin to hiring a, quote, hiring a willing prostitute or engaging in consensual bigamy. Now I don't even know where that logic is going. That's so insane, I can't even keep up with that. But if you went with Ted Cruz's logic that he himself wrote, I guess Ted Cruz is a bigamist for having sex with himself. That logic is so insane. Maybe he needed a sex device, so that's him and another object, making him a bigamist of some sort, or that he is basically prostituting himself. It is not my insane logic, it's Ted Cruz's insane logic. This is why he's considered an intellectual heavyweight on the right. And then here comes the killer quote from Ted Cruz and the rest of the guys who wrote this brief. There is no substantive due process right to stimulate one's genitals for non-medical purposes unrelated to procreation or outside of an interpersonal relationship. Wow! He said there is no substantive due process right to stimulate one's genitals. Hey man, here's what I have to say to that. Lock him up, lock him up. He thought that should be a sentence of 2 years in jail if you stimulated yourself in the genital area. Well, if it wasn't him, it was definitely somebody on his staff, one way or another, that was getting stimulated last night in Ted Cruz's office. I assume he's looking to throw them in jail as we speak. This is the insanity that is the right wing today in America. So Frank Thorpe, the fifth, writes in, Ted Cruz just jokes about light porn tweet. So he's trying to make light of it now that he's in a lot of trouble. Not in a lot of trouble, but like in an awkward situation. He says, Cruz apparently said, perhaps we should have done something like this during the Indiana primary. Yuck, 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 yuck. Could have helped with my re-election campaign. Okay. Wait, are you a family values guy or not? Should people go to jail for stimulating their own genitals or should they not? Or all of a sudden, like, we should have tried this in Indiana, man. You know, because in Indiana, oh, you know how the right wing in Indiana is nonstop masturbation. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now that the joking by Cruz has subsided, who are you gonna blame? Because there's no way he's gonna take on blame. You know who he's gonna blame. His own staff, if you will. And which is correct one way or another. All right, so he said there are a number of people on the team who have access to on the account. It appears as someone inadvertently hit the like button. When we discovered the post, which was I guess an hour or two later, we pulled it down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then we were done with it. Okay, fine, he didn't say that last part. Okay, if you notice, that was a non-denial denial. He said there are a number of people on the team who have access. He didn't say I didn't do it. He's one of the people who has access. He says it appears someone inadvertently hit the button. He didn't say who. And he said when we discovered the post, we pulled it down. He did not deny that it was him. And he is a lawyer. He writes 76-page briefs. He knows what he's saying. He says it was a staffing issue. Again, you could take that two different ways. And it was inadvertent, it was a mistake. It was not a deliberate act. We're dealing with it internally. And then we're dealing with it inside, then outside, then inside, then outside. But it was a mistake. It was not malicious. He never denied it. So then finally a reporter, as he's leaving, is like, wait, but is it you or someone else? Was it you, Senator Cruz? And he, according to the reporters, whispered, no. Oh, Teddy, 2 years, lock him up. Which then could be a different porn, which Reality Kings could be interested in. They have made this offer. Reality Kings would like to offer Ted Cruz a free lifetime membership for making our morning so special. DM us, hashtag Ted Cruz did nothing wrong. Yes, today or late last night, he did nothing wrong. We are progressives. We don't care what you do with your own sex life or your own members or whatever it is that you're doing. And if you fire your staffers now, don't do that. Don't to have a scapegoat. Then you'll be short-staffed, which we suspected you were anyway. Anyway, don't punish your staff. That's what you were doing last night. So we don't want any of that stuff happening. But what we do want is for Ted Cruz to come out and say, I'm sorry, I should have never written that memo saying that people who stimulate their own genitals should be imprisoned. That was a terrible mistake of mine because obviously at a minimum, someone on my own staff would be locked up if I had it my way. I'm waiting for that apology. That is unlikely to come, but unlike Ted Cruz. But at least we know what an incredible hypocrite Senator Cruz is now. If you didn't already know it, it has at least now reached a conclusion, a culmination, if you will. Okay. I could have gone on, but I think I did enough. I think I did enough work there. Okay, let's now go on to serious issues. I kind of loved holding his staff accountable. Anyway, so serious issues on the left now. Okay. Recently, Susan Sarandon sent an innocuous tweet, one that is meant to be productive and helpful to progressive causes, which is unsurprising, given that Susan Sarandon is incredibly progressive, and everybody's known this for a long time. And since she was progressive, she was for the more progressive candidate in the primaries and then in the general election. So none of this is surprising. So she wrote a tweet saying, I stand with the dreamers who make our country stronger. Check out the thread below to see how you can defend DACA now. So she's trying to make sure that the Dreamers are not kicked out of the country. Okay, that seems great. No, not to some. For the Hillary Clinton supporters, they found this to be outrageous. So there was an article written by Brandy Amara Sky on BET with this headline: liberal celebrities who helped elect Trump kindly shut the fuck up about DACA. Is that right? Was it Susan Sarandon who ran Hillary Clinton's campaign? She was the campaign manager. That's news to me, I didn't know that. Because was it Bernie Sanders who lost to Donald Trump? No, I mean, it was Hillary Clinton, right? Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I'm not a journalist who works for BET or Daily Banter, et cetera. So maybe I'm getting confused here. But it's not just Susan Sarandon. They also went after Rosario Dawson. Here's somebody saying, Robin Stowe on Twitter going, Rosario Dawson says Hillary Clinton is not a leader at a DNC event. Now that's just a tweet just mentioning that Rosario says that Hillary's not a leader in that. But in the BET article, Rosario Dawson's attacked. By the way, they're not the only ones. They also attacked Colin Kaepernick. They say, well, I mean, he was great for fighting for black rights by taking a knee during the national anthem and but he said that he did not vote in the election, so he got an FU as well and a middle finger in a tweet. Now here's another person on Team Hillary who's outraged that these celebrities were actually more progressive than them. But now they are pretending that these celebrities are less progressive. It's very confusing. I'll sort it out for you in a second, including Hillary Clinton quotes that you might find quite edifying. All right, so here we go to Molly Manglewood. She tweets, voting third party is a good way to let marginalized groups know that your abstract principles are more important than their very real lives. You know, there's another good way of letting people know that is by losing to Donald Trump. Okay, but anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So now I did not vote for a third party candidate, and I worked very hard against Hillary Clinton in the primaries because I thought she was an inferior candidate. I was 100% right about that, and all of the polling was on our side and against all these people who now say, oh my God, I can't believe we lost to Donald Trump. Well, that's because you ran a candidate that was clearly scientifically worse than Bernie Sanders. I don't think that's our fault, I think that's your fault. Now, whether somebody voted for a third party candidate or not is a nice excuse for Hillary Clinton, the person that you guys love who lost to Donald Trump. But it is a very poor excuse. I know, the weather wasn't right and Comey and Russia and all of that. Who ran the campaign? Who lost to a guy who was sitting at a 37% approval rating on the day of the election? God, you guys are pathetic, honestly. Danny Funero writes in, now attacking Rosario, among others, and Cornel West, here we go. Oh yeah, trust me, I'm not forgetting you, Rosario Dawson, or you, Cornel West. They all contributed to what we have now, should be ashamed. Okay, so Cornel West fighting for civil rights his whole life doesn't count because he did not bow his head to the establishment candidate. Now, Cornel West said that the establishment candidate was a candidate who had a better chance of losing to Donald Trump and the Republicans, thereby endangering the Dreamers. He was right about that, but no. Now, Brother West, you are part of the elite. Now, wait a minute, he was for the more progressive guy. Nope, doesn't matter. But he was for the guy who had a much better chance of winning. According to every single poll, including on the day of the election, Bernie Sanders had a 12-point lead to Donald Trump, whereas Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump. Nope, I don't believe in polls, I don't believe in math, I don't believe in science, I don't believe in anything. I must protect the establishment while pretending that Susan Sarandon, Rosario Dawson, et cetera, are the elite. Okay, this is hilarious. So before I go further, I must clarify Hillary Clinton's position on this. So let's go to 2014, when Hillary Clinton spoke about this issue. Let's see what she had to say about kids who have come into the country and whether they should stay.
But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to send a message that is contrary to our laws or will encourage more children to make that dangerous journey.
It looks like there was a candidate who was not for kids who had made it into the country, into America, staying. It was not just Donald Trump, it was Hillary Clinton. You're not allowed to say that about our beloved establishment, Hillary Clinton. Well, I didn't say it, she said it. Look, I want to be super fair here. I'm going to give you the full context of that conversation, okay? So later Hillary Clinton switched her position and said, oh yeah, DACA, Dreamers, yeah, I'm trying to win an election here. And she would say, well, I wasn't referring to the Dreamers, I was referring to people who were just coming in through the border, and we had a lot of folks coming in through the border in 2014 who would one day become potentially Dreamers. But anyway, give you the full context, here's the whole video.
There is not sufficient law enforcement or will on the part of the governments of those countries to try to deal with this exponential increase in violence, drug trafficking, the drug cartels, and many children are fleeing from that violence.
Should they be able to stay here? It's safer.
It may be safer, but that's not the answer. I do not.
So should they be sent back?
Well, first of all, we have to provide the best emergency care we can provide. We have children 5 and 6 years old who have come up from Central America. We need to do more to provide border security in southern Mexico.
They should be sent back now.
Well, they should be sent back as soon as it can be determined who responsible adults and their families are. But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to send a message that is contrary to our laws or will encourage more children to make that dangerous journey.
Remind me who's for DACA and who's not for DACA. Who's for the Dreamers and who's not for the Dreamers. Now you're telling me because Susan Sarandon, Rosario Dawson, et cetera, said, hey, we don't necessarily trust Hillary Clinton to do the right thing here, because in the past, and not the distant past, that was 2014, she spoke out against children who came here being sent back. Are you for sending them back? Well, I mean, once we got a guardian in a country, yeah, we sent them back. Bernie Sanders didn't say that. Even Jill Stein didn't say that. Hillary Clinton said it. So do your homework first. But nonetheless, here goes Sky again. We're not just angry at you, she says to the celebrities. We're angry at all those people who didn't listen when we tried to tell them that the sky was falling, that all this was going to happen. But the difference is their Twitter feeds don't reach millions. Their words didn't make headlines and influence many of the millennials who opted to stay home on election day. They weren't nearly as effective in trying to convince the world a purity test mattered more than white supremacy. That was all you, boo. Well, Brandy, you supported the candidate that wound up losing the election. That was all you, boo. You wound up supporting a candidate that actually wanted to send the kids back. That was all you, boo. They supported a candidate who had an excellent chance of winning. And if he had won, not only would he have not done any of the things that Donald Trump has done, or potentially the things that Hillary Clinton would have done, but he would have gone further in helping those communities. And when he promised to help those communities more, Hillary Clinton now in her book writes about, oh, he wanted everybody to have a pony. So when you fought for Hillary Clinton, that was all you, boo. Bernie Sanders did not lose the election to Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton did. It is amazing that I have to remind people of that almost every day. We did a poll here, I don't want to repeat it here, but who's more responsible for losing the election? Because in Washington, among the elite and the establishment, they genuinely believe it's Bernie Sanders, which is so mental. Our poll has it at 97.4% Hillary Clinton lost the election, and 2.6% saying Bernie Sanders is the one who lost the election. I don't know who the 2.6% are, but you can go ahead and vote on it. It's tytnetwork.com/lost. But apparently we have to keep reminding these people. Okay, one last one from Brandy. She says, and the reality of your privilege is this: your delusion of sameness has cost us our bodies, our rights, and our security, while your own remains unscathed. Is this the solidarity, the power of the people of which you speak? Is this what you want us to rally behind, your false ideals and movement of disconnected privilege? So for fighting for the little guy, whether it's Sanders, who I did during the primaries. Now, I didn't vote for Stein, but I don't begrudge them voting for Stein. You see, because it is the responsibility, and I cautioned against it, and I didn't think that it was the right thing to do. But that was my opinion, and I don't hate them for voting for Stein, because Stein is not what cost Hillary Clinton the election. Hillary Clinton is the one who cost herself the election. So the much greater mistake was picking her in the primaries in the first place, and guess who was in favor of that? The elite. So don't go around pretending these guys who fought for more progressive candidates are somehow the elite and have their privilege. No, you backed the most pro-establishment status quo candidate of our lifetimes. So don't pretend you're not the elite. Don't pretend that the other guys are the elite when it's just not remotely true. Now, finally, we go to the Daily Banter, who is, if you remember my previous piece on them, there is not a Hillary Clinton thing that they will not get behind. There is not a Bernie or a progressive position they won't attack. So they're like, oh yes, let's jump in this. They asked, but what has Susan Sarandon done? Here's a couple of highlights since the election. She refused to apologize for her previous remarks. Why won't you bow your head, Susan? Why do you continue to have progressive positions? while we pretend to be more progressive than you, but said during the primaries you were too progressive. Well, Daily Banter's forte is not logic. And apparently she's also fought Deborah Messing on Twitter. I did not know that that was a grave offense. I don't know where Messing stands, but I didn't realize that was a thing that you can, now you mess with Deborah Messing. Remember, you guys are celebrities, but my celebrity, Deborah Messing, is awesome. It's funny how that works. And Katy Perry's awesome because she was behind Hillary Clinton. All my celebrities are great. You know what you guys sound like? Republicans. Ronald Reagan's awesome. Donald Trump is awesome. Ted Nugent is awesome. Oh, but you liberal elite celebrities, we hate celebrities. Unless there are celebrities. Hey, they did a concert for Hillary. I love them so much. Okay, Jeremy Fassler from the Daily Fluffer continues that Sarandon is preferring to spend her time retweeting sophists on Twitter and going to film festivals. You know why she's doing that? Because she's an actress. That's her job. Again, sounding like a Republican. What are these liberal guys doing? Going to film festivals? Yeah, that's called working for a living if you work in films. Okay, finally, one more from the banter. Her statement on DACA is as empty as the ones Republican politicians make after mass shootings occur, and the same rebuttal to them applies to her. Ms. Sarandon, fuck your thoughts and prayers. Okay, you know, I'm not your run-of-the-mill progressive that you're used to in Washington, D.C. that goes, oh my God, I am shocked and chagrined. Let's call for civility and unity. And of course, that's a trick. The unity is unite behind Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Otherwise, we'll blame you for all the things that Republicans have done. Oh, really? How have Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton done in defeating Republicans? Oh, right, they have a miserable, miserable record. They lose to Republicans all the time. Why do you think we want to get rid of them? They have lost the House, the Senate, the White House to a monster, the Supreme Court, 69 out of 99 state legislators. But you keep telling me, Daily Banter and Sky and all these people who are still tweeting about Hillary Clinton and how awesome she is and how we should have bowed our head to her, that somehow the Democratic Party knows how to win? And that if we don't support the Democratic establishment, then we are responsible for what Republicans do? No, you're responsible for Donald Trump and the Republicans because your candidate, the one you backed, is the one that ran against him, is the one that lost to him. I don't want to keep repeating this stuff. I get tired of it too. But when they go out there and do their propaganda on 1,000 different outlets, who else is going to fight back? And then when we fight back, they go, oh yeah, you see that? There goes the Young Turks. And they keep talking about blaming Hillary Clinton for the loss. While you guys are blaming everyone else under the sun and using all of the mainstream media to do it. It's gross. So yes, we will fight back. And for your stupid idea to back the establishment candidate, then I return it right to you. I don't believe in civility or unity under your umbrella. So fuck your thoughts and prayers. Instead, we could have won. We could have protected the Dreamers, but it was your fault that we didn't. Not a little bit, 100% your fault. Okay, I think that was clear. We can move forward. Are we still having these conversations? Whose fault was it, Hillary Clinton or a fucking ghost? Who ran against Trump? I mean, what a lunatic fringe idea that the establishment has embraced. Oh no, it wasn't Hillary. It wasn't Hillary. It was someone else. It was Casper the Friendly Ghost. It was Scooby-Doo. She would have gotten away for it if it wasn't for you, what is it? Meddling kids, you millennials. Why didn't you had to do your duty to the establishment and bow your head and vote for her. It's your fault. She didn't energize you. She didn't give you a reason to vote. Who cares? Your fault. Fuck off already. Okay, let's move forward. Now let's go to the next Democratic establishment trick, okay? Now, I get some heat sometimes because I don't believe that there's enough evidence to show the Democratic Party actually went in and manipulated votes and changed votes during the primaries, okay? But I do believe that they did go ahead and change the debate schedule. They did affect which polling stations were closed and not closed. And they did everything they could to make sure that their favorite candidate, Hillary Clinton, won. And so I don't want to get into the definitions of rigged or not rigged, but Was it obvious that the DNC wanted Hillary Clinton to win? Of course. You could read the emails, you could see their actions. Let's put debates in the middle of the night against football and have as little as possible, because God forbid we should have the national spotlight and want to get our own progressive ideas out. The Republicans will have 58 debates and they will pound Republican messages home. We'll have 6 debates and try to wrap this thing up because we love Hillary Clinton. That is super obvious at this point. So that's the past. But now they have a very interesting trick that they are planning to play for 2020. And I want to give you a heads up on it so that we're not trying to scramble fighting this well after it's already passed and 3 years down the road. So they want to move up the California primary. Now, why do they want to do that? That seems innocuous. Let me read you the quote from Politico here. If adopted by the legislature this week, as is widely expected, and signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown, the early primary would allocate California's massive haul of delegates just after the nation's first contests in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. Now look, I live in California. I'd like California to have a bigger voice. That sounds pretty good, okay? So what's the issue here? Just think about it for a second. Who's from California? Oh, right, the person that all the Hillary Clinton donors and staffers are flocking to, Kamala Harris. In fact, here, let's quote Politico, and they don't point this out at all. They're just giving facts like, oh, this is a wonderful, interesting, legislation. They have no opinion on it. I'm the one connecting the dots here. So the earlier primary could benefit at least 2 potential presidential contenders from California: United States Senator Kamala Harris and Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, while jeopardizing the prospects of other candidates who will struggle to raise enough early money to compete in expensive media markets in the nation's most populous state. Look, is it all a smoke-filled room plot to make sure Kamala Harris wins? I don't think, I never believe in smoke-filled rooms. I don't believe in conspiracies. I believe that it is people serving their self-interest that wind up getting to this situation, even if it's not Kamala Harris. And my jury's out on her policies, so I'm not dead set against her. I just know that it is noteworthy that a lot of the Hillary donors and staffers are flocking to her potential campaign. That's all. It doesn't mean that her positions are bad. But even if it's not her, you move the California primary up with all of those votes on the line, most populous state. Well, if it's not Bernie Sanders, which progressive is going to have enough name recognition early enough to be able to compete in California? Which progressive is going to have enough money early enough in the primaries to compete in California? In fact, Don Fowler knows this. Don Fowler is Clinton 101. He is a former head of the DNC and totally team establishment, Team Clinton. Fowler says, in all probability, the winner of the California primary would be the nominee. So this is not an accident. This is not, oh golly gee, I don't know anything about this. No, it's Don Fowler going, let's move up the California primary. And by the way, who else is in California? The power brokers that would help decide this election. Dianne Feinstein, totally against single payers, totally against progress, totally against change. No, maybe later. Jesus, Senator Feinstein, what are you, 84? When is later? Nancy Pelosi, not single payer, nope, not in favor of it. No, we're gonna do gradualism, we're gonna do the establishment. I'm really good at raising money. And so they will help decide our nominee. Great, can't wait. More about the money. First, candidates who are able to raise more money early on will likely welcome the change, since California is a notoriously expensive state in which to compete due to its size and multiple television markets. So if you're gonna do the Bernie Sanders strategy and you're not Bernie Sanders and you don't have the name recognition, you need time to build up your campaign. They saw that unfold in 2016. They saw that he got stronger and stronger as he went along. His fundraising got bigger and bigger as it went along. If you put the giant California primary in the beginning of that process instead of at the end of that process, good night, Irene. You're never gonna be able to raise enough money to run ads in California. The state's too big, the markets are too big. Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego. This is not a coincidence. You put the California primary that early and you're rigging it for the establishment. And so how do populist progressives win? They do what's called retail campaigning. You meet more people, you do rallies like Bernie did, and you build up momentum. and again, Politico doesn't mean this at all. They never talk about the establishment in the piece. They just lay these things out like innocently. Okay, so they say, and they go back to Fowler. Fowler said that a retail candidate cannot compete in California. It's just physically and financially impossible. So it's not like the Clinton ally doesn't know what he's pushing for here. He does know, and he's almost joyous about it. Like, you're never gonna catch on to this. And why would California not wanna move up their primary and have more say? It's an easy win, and then once we get to the primaries, we're gonna go, oh, did a progressive candidate not have enough time to win all those ballots in California? Golly gee. So if you're in California, no, say no. I know it's tough to say no, but don't worry about your self-interest. Worry about what the right thing to do here is. And by the way, if Bernie does run, which is still a very good chance that he will, he'll win California easily. He has more name recognition than even the California senators like Kamala Harris. And so I don't know if he's gonna run, but even so, it's not fair. And by the way, it wouldn't be fair to even anyone running against Bernie Sanders. The reason Hillary Clinton won the last primary is because Bernie couldn't close the lead. He closed a 60-point lead, but he couldn't close it quick enough because Hillary Clinton had overwhelming name recognition and in the beginning had overwhelming money. How is anyone going to beat Bernie Sanders, or if he's not running, an establishment candidate with all that money and all that name recognition that quickly? They're not gonna be able to. So the establishment might be unwittingly setting a trap for themselves, thinking Bernie's not gonna run, and we're gonna steamroll any other progressive that doesn't have enough name recognition. I understand the trick. So, they talk about three-dimensional chess and never play it. This actually is three-dimensional chess, and it is being played out 3 years ahead of time. But we see you. So I vote no. Even if it were to help Bernie, on principle, I vote no. So look, I don't know that, God, they sprung it just like that. I mean, it was so quick. I don't know that you've got enough time to go talk to your legislators in California and tell them to vote no. Man, they got 1,000 tricks up their sleeves. And it's never about getting enough votes or convincing enough people that they have the right policies. It's just about how do we move the levers of power to get our guys in the office, right or wrong? Well, at least now, because of the internet, we see you. All right, quick break. We'll be right back with how Trump is trying to fire Robert Mueller.
TYT is unique in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna ask some uncomfortable questions.
I feel like I missed out.
So what is going on?
If I don't eat, my head's gonna explode.
As I take my shirt off, just goes, is that your body?
Now we move to inappropriate story number 2.
I just never felt guilty about masturbation.
It's amazing, man.
I could take partial credit for opening up your sexuality.
I was the kid in the pool with the shirt off. Let's just call it what it is. I was that kid.
Well, you deal with the bitch side of it, right? But you're my boss, so that's what happens.
I think we're more likely to win. They do see it from a frame of the rich and the powerful, and they don't realize that.
The last time that happened, we elected Abraham Lincoln.
I don't know, wouldn't it be wonderful if we unfucked the world?
You and I are a disaster.
Don't stereotype all cops, don't stereotype all anything.
Blowing up like Dave Kohler on Twitter.
That's pretty good progress.
I didn't know you could leave positive comments.
It's a very TYT thing. I'll tell you a whole bunch of depressing stuff so that at the end I can give you hope. Winning is, in terms of change and positive change, is not just possible, it's inevitable.
Great time to be alive.
Let's burn this mother down, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Fuck it, let's go do it. And that's why I keep thanking you guys for being members. Because together, we got their attention.
Thanks for tuning in, and as always, stay strong.
Been easy for me. I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. All my life, I was told no.
He said I had small hands. They're not small, are they? I never heard that one before.
Welcome back to TYT Sports. Jason and Francis here. This is where everybody has to listen. Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody.
I am your host, Francis Maxwell.
Jason here. Welcome to TYT Sports. Turks and Jerks, TYT Sports.
Steph Curry signed with Under Armour.
Tom Brady's mad, by the way.
Do you hear me?
Back on TYT Sports!
Actually, leave a link in the description box below instead of lying about leaving a link in the description box below.
Editor, throw up another picture of the UK bacon. And another. And in fact, throw in another one.
Let me see your belly.
Beast mode.
I just shot a clip. It's time sensitive and it needs to be edited right now.
Did anybody call for an editor?
Need this in an hour.
But you're an editor too.
Fuck you.
All right, back on the Young Turks, a couple of tweets for you. Heisenberg says, Cenk, you're being a little hard on Ted. I'm sure Ted is hard on himself over this. Not a big deal. Hashtag different strokes. Dylan Lochner says, I'm getting a kitty today, and after watching this story, I'm thinking of naming him Fuck Hillary Clinton. Okay, Dylan, don't, okay? So despite how angry I get, it isn't personal. I don't want to keep rubbing it in to Hillary Clinton and saying you lost, you lost, you lost. I just can't let these guys run roughshod pretending that she didn't lose, that it was somehow someone else's fault. She didn't run the campaign. It's just maddening. So I hope to, if they would just stop trying to blame Bernie Sanders, progressive Susan Sarandon, etc., we could just get on with our lives and not have to say anything bad about Hillary Clinton. Okay, last one is Vivi Horvat writes in, I'm German and have a herd of ponies. Healthcare, unemployment insurance, social security / pension, maternity and sick leave, vacation. I know, they're ponies, you can't possibly get them except for the rest of the civilized world has them. Okay, great point. All right, let's go here now to talk about Medicare. Okay, more Democratic stories, but this one's a good one, okay? So we have been fighting for Medicare for all for quite some time on the Young Turks, and so have the Justice Democrats. They are running some primaries against Democratic candidates and then running general elections against Republicans, and they believe that you should be a strong Democrat, a strong progressive, and one that fights for economic justice and social justice. Not that complicated. And you should be uncorrupted. So obviously they're for Medicare for all. And in the House, John Conyers had a wonderful bill that was for Medicare for all. We decided that, hey, we should support that. So Just Democrats, along with the nurses union, started a petition JustDemocrats.com/single payer. It got over 100,000 people on there. It's way past that now. You should also sign it. And guess what happened? It worked. So in the House, it went from 72 co-sponsors of the bill to 118 co-sponsors. That is a lot of votes that Justice Democrats helped to move. Why? Is it because they're political geniuses, et cetera? No, it's very simple. It's politics 101. This is a position that your voters agree with overwhelmingly. 80% of Democratic voters agree with Medicare for all. So all we're gonna do is put a spotlight on it and ask you one by one, why are you not supporting Conyers' bill to fight for Medicare for all? Well, then Bernie Sanders, unsurprisingly, decided he was gonna do Medicare for all in the Senate. Wonderful. So then all of a sudden, a spotlight came to the Senate. So in the beginning, there was just one. And I remember doing many clips about why won't anybody support Bernie Sanders. And then all of a sudden, as pressure grew, there was two. Kamala Harris joined. Now, I don't care about her motives. I care that she's voting the right way. Bless her heart, that was wonderful. Then Elizabeth Warren joined. Not surprising, she's one of the biggest progressives in Congress. Cory Booker then joined. Again, couldn't care less about his intent, I care about his votes. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Merkley. But once you've got Booker and some of these other guys, Merkley's a real progressive, then Gillibrand. Okay, I get it. Everybody running for president is now having to sign this, which is awesome, exactly what you want. Then Sheldon Whitehouse, a guy who's progressive quite often. Tammy Baldwin, another progressive. Okay, now we're making progress. And this is, a lot of this is in the last 24 to 48 hours. And then boom, Brian Schatz, Mazi Hirono, both from Hawaii, a super progressive state. Ed Markey, progressive from Massachusetts. Richard Blumenthal. All of a sudden, we're making progress. Now that's a dozen senators that are saying, yeah, Medicare for all, that's what I meant. Yeah, of course, Medicare for all. I mean, I hadn't done that before, but I'm doing it now. Hey, look, as long as they vote the right way, I don't care how late they come, as long as they come and we actually get it passed. And obviously this is the beginning, then you've got to get other Democrats, then you've got to get the Republicans or defeat the Republicans and actually get it passed. We're perfectly aware of how this process works, but this is a great beginning and we're doing it because of you guys. If you don't put the pressure on and you don't ask your congressmen and you don't ask your senators why they're not supporting this bill, it's not gonna get done. So our work is nowhere near done on the Democratic side. In the Senate, there's still 36 Democrats. So that is obviously 75% of the Democrats, 3/4 of the Democrats in the Senate still have not signed on as co-sponsors. If I was you, I'd ask them why. I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second. So not on board yet, Al Franken, who is gonna wait a couple of years, and then once the parade's really up and running, he's gonna then join it and tell us how progressive he is. Anyway, Ron Wyden, again, on some issues, a huge progressive. I don't know why he hasn't signed yet. Sherrod Brown is often considered among the top 3 progressives, but he hasn't signed. Somebody should go ask him. And then the leadership, Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin. Chuck, there's a parade, you might want to jump in front of it. Chris Murphy fighting for the public option, but hasn't signed up for Medicare for all yet. So again, Justice Democrats are on the scene. We believe in creating pressure. We believe that that's how you win in politics. So all we're doing is very, very simple is, here's a picture of the people who have said yes and the ones who haven't said yes yet. Hey, I'm not the one voting for you. You're the one voting. I'm not the one who has to talk to their constituents. You are. So if you want to say, hey, no, I won't support what 80% of Democrats want, what 60% of the country overall wants. If you can't support something that 60% of Americans are in favor of, and it is very clear polling that that's what Medicare for all polls at. If you just said, hey, do you want into Medicare? Medicare polls at 77%. I mean, if you can't win on an issue like that, what are you doing in politics? But hey, it's your call, not my call, you're the senator. Are you gonna be for Medicare for all, which is incredibly popular, or are you gonna go with your donors? I mean, why else would you not back something that 80% of your voters want? I don't know, you tell me. And if it's not your donors, what is it? The tranquilizing drug of gradualism? Okay, our job is to put a spotlight on folks. So we got a new petition for the Senate. JusticeDemocrats.com/Bernie bill. Go put this one over 100,000. Go put it at 1 million. make sure that you ask all those senators. Look, I picked 6 there, but there's a ton of them. There's 36. You could go find all those names. Go to @JusticeDems on Twitter, and you could see that infographic. You could see exactly if your senator is signed on or not, and make sure you send them that petition. All right. So they asked Nancy Pelosi about this because it's getting a lot of momentum in her own House. Now the overwhelming majority of Democrats in the House want Medicare for all. She's still at a no. She was at a no, but she tells us she's a master legislator. She said that over and over again as to why she should be the leader. Master legislator leading from behind, master legislator choosing not to legislate. Interesting. And when asked recently, she still said House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi declined to back a single-payer health care bill drafted by Senator Bernie Sanders. But the pressure has gotten so significant that even Joe Manchin, the most conservative Democrat in the Senate, said about single-payer recently, quote, "It should be explored." Damn. It's funny how primaries have a way of clarifying things. And then once he talked to the reporters and then went back to his office, and then his staffers said, "Are you nuts? Do you know who donates to us?" And he said, "No, I have no idea who my donors are." Go back and check our interview with him. He then went back and talked to reporters and said, "Well, I'm, quote, skeptical that single payer is the right solution." But we've even got Manchin wavering. We're gonna get them all. It is a deeply popular position, not only in the Democratic Party, but in the country overall. We should have health care for everybody. Medicare covers everybody. It does it at a lower cost and covers more benefits. There is no reason why we shouldn't be let into Medicare. Let's go.
Another senator on the board.
Is that right? Breaking news.
Like Paul Wellstone, I believe healthcare is a right for all Americans. My statement on co-sponsoring Senator Sanders' bill by Senator Al Franken.
Really? Look at that. You see that? We're doing it, and immediately live, he goes, "Okay, all right." Okay, thank you, JR. I did not see that breaking news, but what did I tell you? In the last 24 to 48 hours, boom, boom, boom. Go get that petition to every senator. And you know what? I always give credit where credit is due. So I was just telling you Al Franken didn't sign on, he usually likes to be late. Okay, nope, he's number 13. Bless his heart for that. You vote the right way, we'll take it, and we'll take it every time. Medicare for all, let us in already. That's what progress looks like. And you do it through politics so that you get to the right policy. Okay. They said Justice Democrats wouldn't have an effect. All right, guys, I gotta take a quick break. When we come back, impeachment proceedings perhaps around the corner, I'll tell you why. I have decided that I'm going to get ripped. Okay.
What?
Okay.
Like physically?
Yeah. Okay. What, you don't believe me?
I 100% don't believe you.
I will get so ripped, here's my prediction, that someone at TYT will say, "Cenk, you've got to stop working out."
We're tired of you winning.
So you don't believe me?
Cenk, you don't have time to do your daily duties for the main show.
Duties. You don't even have time for your daily duties. Because what you guys don't know is how great my muscles already are.
It's absolutely possible, but you can't have Leah run to the food truck to get you 2 different types of grilled cheeses with tater tots for lunch. You can't have that anymore.
Let's see what happens.
You also have to go to the gym regularly.
Let's see what happens. All I'm saying is, let's see what happens. Have I ever been wrong about a prediction? Almost never.
The Gaslamp Killer, Piece to Absent presents 2016 shit. I like drums. I like big drums. Heavy, funky, deep drums. I'm not classically trained. I just started out as a record collector. I have synthesizers. I have all these modular synths and fun DJ tools that I use to make psychedelic sounds. It's not just the music. People want to leave their bodies in order to connect with the spirit world. And when you're making music, it's a similar kind of thing. You want to escape your day-to-day to leaving this shit behind and finding more of a deeper place to create from. That is the essence of Gas Lamp Killer music.
Hey, what's up?
Aaron, what do you like better? The rabies or the rabies? Go.
All right, back on the Young Turks. Derek Martin writes in, if the Dems were smart, they'd give Bernie all the credit for Medicare for all and ride it to a 2020 victory, holding my breath. Don't hold your breath there. Okay, on YouTube Super Chat, Tony R. Casio 1 wrote, and hey guys, it's your viewer from Homestead, Florida. Glad to be watching from Orlando. Irma literally followed us Friday, Tampa to Orlando. Insane and maddening, but safe and happy to see TYT live. Thank you, Tony, we appreciate it. And JR made a good point during the break. If you remember, it was one of our reporters, Naomi LaChance, who chased down Al Franken and asked him if he was in favor of single payer, and he brushed her off. Well, something about that spotlight. Anyway, bless his heart, he's on the right side now, okay? All right, let's go over here. Okay. So Axios with a really interesting new report out about Donald Trump once again thinking about firing the special counsel, Robert Mueller. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's give you some background first. Recently, a Russian politician, Vyacheslav Nikonov, a member of the Duma, that's the ruling assembly in Russia, said on live TV that US, quote, intelligence missed it when Russian intelligence stole the president of the United States. Interesting. And so where there is smoke, sometimes there is fire. But look, it's okay, we have an investigation. Whether there's smoke or fire, they're gonna determine. And so if they were investigating my connections to Russia, I wouldn't be worried at all because I don't have any connections to Russia or Kazakhstan or anywhere else, right? So Axios reports, though, Mueller is burrowing in hard to the obstruction of justice angle. So that's on the issue of Trump firing Comey to block the Russian investigation, which he admitted to on national television. Kind of an amazing moment. I told you he's too stupid to do a cover-up. Anyway, they point out also that Republicans, that's not Democrats, that's Republicans close to the White House, say every sign by Mueller, from his hiring of mafia and money laundering experts to his aggressive pursuit of witnesses and evidence, is that he's going for the kill. Damn. So one of the things that Mueller is focusing on is Trump originally wrote an explanation of why Comey was fired. So let's go to that portion. They say the angry, meandering draft White House justification for firing Comey, which was never released but obtained by Mueller, could be used as evidence of Trump's unvarnished thinking when venting to staff. So if Trump himself wrote a memo saying, I got to get rid of Comey because of the Russian investigation he's doing on me, I mean, it's textbook obstruction of justice. I mean, there's the angle of why does he want to obstruct justice so badly? Probably because he did it. Okay, and that's a whole separate part of the investigation. But the obstruction of justice itself is a significant crime. And when you say, oh, I'm going to fire a prosecutor because he might prosecute me, it doesn't get any more obstruction of justice than that. So now, latest reports, is Axios is saying that Trump associates tell me, that's Mike Allen and Jonathan Swain at Axios, tell me Trump mused about firing Mueller. So he's back to thinking, this guy's getting close. Is it time to fire the next prosecutor? Which, by the way, would be further obstruction of justice. Why don't you write a memo about that or say it on national TV again, you knucklehead? Okay, but now one associate said the damage would be as horrendous as firing the Pope. Okay, that's right. And the only reason you would even contemplate such a thing is if you did it and you think he's gonna find out you did it. And unlike a lot of your staffers and a lot of the Republican colleagues of yours, you know you did it. So, two very important petitions here. We'd started this one earlier, saying that if Donald Trump pardons anyone that was involved in his campaign or his administration, he should be immediately impeached. So I'm not saying do impeachment now. Let the investigation go and let them find out. I have no problem with Mueller coming back. And if he says, look, man, whether he did it or not, we just don't have enough evidence, well, that's a sad day for us. And that would be, I think Donald Trump's a danger to the world, but it doesn't mean because I don't like the president or I don't agree with the president or I think he's dangerous that we get to remove him from office. That's not how it works. There has to be a crime. But if you are pardoning people in order to cover up for your crime, that's obstruction of justice. If you're firing prosecutors or special counsels to cover up for your crime, that's obstruction of justice. That is a crime, and that would be an impeachable offense. So we did that one earlier. That was tytnetwork.com/pardon. But today, I also want to start this because he's apparently trying to block this investigation every way possible. So we're saying if Donald Trump fires Mueller, he should be impeached for obstruction of justice. So these are very straightforward, very clear. tytnetwork.com/obstruction to sign that petition. But the reason we have to do these petitions, and from time to time they do work, as we see with Medicare for All, is that you have to put pressure on politicians. They naturally lead from behind. They are not bold leaders as a bunch. You have to tell them, hey, listen, we greatly object to the president clearly breaking the law. If he pardons people who broke the law in order to cover up an investigation of himself, he should be impeached. If he fires a prosecutor looking into his own investigation, he should be impeached. Not before, but if he does do it, that is textbook obstruction of justice. That is a crime, and you have to proceed to impeachment, because if you don't, then he's above the law. And we don't have a president anymore, we have a dictator, and you're giving him carte blanche to break any law and then pardon himself, his family members, his administration, his campaign officials, and then to fire any prosecutor who dares to investigate him. That is where you must draw the line. So I hope both Democrats and Republicans get all the pressure in the world to realize that we are a country of laws, not of men, and that we cannot allow this man to run amok. If he fires Mueller, impeachment proceedings should start the very next day. Okay, I'm out of time here in the first hour. I do have a lot more stories for you guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an OT today, overtime. So the way it's gonna work is we got hour 2 coming up. Anna's got some amazing stories for you guys, including a spectacular case of political correctness by the right wing. And then we're gonna do a post game for the members, tytnetwork.com/join. And then for the members, I'm gonna do a whole another segment, including an outrageous case of discrimination against Muslims in Kansas. It's actually a little bit heartbreaking, but Joe Scarborough and the rest of the establishment sucking up to the generals as usual. So all that is, if you're a member and you can watch that, tytnetwork.com/join. Okay, we'll be right back and give you the amazing stories in the second hour.
Complex subject. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
You said I had small hands. They're not smaller. I never heard that one before.
I'm Hassan Piker. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Hassan D. Piker and on Twitter at Hassan the Hun. And this has been The Breakdown. Was that good, guys?
Okay. Not enough hashtag use. Hashtag abs, hashtag model, hashtag wokebae.
Hashtag one black friend.
I'm thinking more rings.
I got them here.
You need more accessories. Way more accessories.
I don't know where to put it.
Come on, throw these on. Wokebae, not sleepbae.
More sexy too.
When's the last time you posted on Instagram? Too long. Come on, man. No, you need to post at least once an hour. What's the outfit of the day today? Is this what you're going with? No. We need more accessories. We need.
This doesn't have anything to do. It doesn't.
For your gay audience, man.
Yeah, the gays love you, man.
Okay. What else? What else do I need to do?
You haven't appropriated a culture in a week.
We have like a kimono or something.
Damn, that looks good on you, dude.
Perfect. How many rings you got on? Do we have any more?
I got 3 more.
Yeah, can we get more rings on this?
And when you're done, kiss the ring. Look at the camera. Kiss the ring. Maybe like a little wink.
Islam's role in terrorism and all the Huffington Post articles weren't doing well. I wasn't.
How many likes did our last outfit of the day picture have?
Only like 100,000.
So I think that's where your focus needs to be. I hear you on all the blah, blah, blah social issue. We need to focus on followers.
Kids in Yemen.
We don't care if you sleep at night.
Dab, dab.
Okay, I'll dab.
There you go.
More.
Talk about yourself more.
I'm Hassan Piker. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, be more into it.
Instagram is important for me. Americans losing access to healthcare coverage.
I hear you. Attack Tommy more.
I've done it. So many. She shoots out of her living room now. It's like punching down now.
We're okay with that. It helps the brand.
We made you. We got you verified.
You're nothing without us.
So I don't know what else I need to do here.
Dude, just take off that shirt.
That's exactly why Tommy Lauren is stupid. I hate you. I'm Hassan Piker. Follow me on Instagram.
Hashtag wokebae.
Hashtag wokebae. Please follow me. Please.
right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk and Anna with you guys. I have more breaking news. I will deliver it in the form of a tweet. Green Chile Por Vida writes in, both senators from New Mexico, Heinrich and Udall, co-sponsoring Medicare for All. JR just confirmed that. They are indeed doing that. So now we're up to 15. It's happening live in the middle of the show. So what Al Franken said?
Yeah, he had a full Facebook message, but I'll read this part that had a little bit of wavering in it. Establishing a single-payer system would be one way to achieve universal coverage, and Senator Sanders' Medicare for All bill lays an important marker to help us reach that goal. This bill is aspirational, and I'm hopeful that it can serve as a starting point for where we need to go as a country. In the short term, however, I strongly believe that we must pursue bipartisan policies that improve our current healthcare system.
He should have left a statement out. That statement is so weak sauce. The bill is aspirational. In other words, I don't really mean it. Just say you are going to vote for it.
It's a marker, but let's
make it bipartisan.
Yeah.
But you're going to get Republicans to vote for Medicare for All. If you got that magic solution, I'd love to hear it. They can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. Just shush. Just say I'm co-sponsoring. God damn, man. Aspirational. Jesus Christ, man. Anyway.
You look nice today.
Oh, thank you. My mood switches immediately.
You do.
Okay, thank you. Well, you as well, but I guess that's normal. Okay, all right, last tweet for you guys. Davey M says, when waiting for TYD to come back from a break and the music starts, I'm unsure if I'm entering a jazz club or a strip club. That is fair enough, maybe a little bit of both. But your tweet then needlessly aroused Ted Cruz. He's now watching #TYT Live. All right, anyways. All right, Casper, you've got a lot of stories.
I do. All right, let's begin with an update on a story we did yesterday. YouTube superstar PewDiePie has apologized for his use of the N-word during a stream of a video game he was playing on his channel. Now, we can't use his video for copyright reasons, but I do want to read you the most relevant portion of that apology. He said, I'm not going to make any excuses as to why I did. Okay, I'm not gonna make any excuses as to why it did, because there are no excuses for it. I'm really sorry if I offended, hurt, or disappointed anyone with all of this. Being in the position I am, I should know better. I owe it to my audience and to myself to do better than this, because I know I'm better than this. He also said, I'm disappointed in myself because it seems like I've learned nothing from these past controversies.
Yeah, interesting.
So I watched the full video, and it came across as a heartfelt apology. And so, look, for me, it was less about him saying that word. I mean, at this point, I feel like there's so much hideous stuff going on in the world that I'm desensitized to words, even though no one should use that word. But the part of the story that I thought was relevant was just like this constant complaining from people who create content on YouTube about advertisers pulling out. Yes, advertisers pull out when they feel uncomfortable with your content, and it affects all of us, not just the person who puts out that so-called questionable content, right? By the way, my favorite part about this story was some of the reaction that we got on Twitter. One person thought that I was monstrous for supporting the video game developer who decided to do copyright strikes against PewDiePie to take his content away from PewDiePie's channel.
Actually, let me update you guys. Monstrous. Let me update you guys on that poll, because we did that poll. Should video game developers issue copyright strikes on PewDiePie? And that was tytnetwork.com/pi, and only 33.5% said yes. 66.5% said no, they shouldn't. And I had said no, you had said yes. It's an interesting conversation. Even though I disagreed with you a little bit, I did not think you were monstrous. Okay.
Right, and look, I think the framing of that question is a little off, because whether or not they should isn't the answer that I was giving. I was saying, yeah, advertisers and companies get to decide, and they should be able to decide.
No, like, but we all agree to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course they can decide.
Force anyone. I mean, it's just like television. You can't force advertisers to advertise on any given show. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And so, look, actions and words and the way you do your show has consequences. And that has nothing to do with the First Amendment. A company gets to decide where they advertise or where they have their content.
And look, I think that it was a good apology, and so let's all move on. As I said yesterday, I think that he's largely joking. I hope that he is. I believe that he is. And my sense of it is that he thinks people are overly sensitive to it because we are beyond those issues. As we pointed out yesterday, I don't think we're beyond the racial issues at all. I mean, we just reported yesterday on an 8-year-old kid being hung by some 14-year-old white kids. And then the cop was like, oh, I want to protect the feelings of the 14-year-old white kids. And so I don't think we're beyond those racial issues at all. And it seems like PewDiePie in that apology is saying, like, I get it. It's not just a word and we're not beyond it. And in fact, I think that Anna basically kind of laid out for him why she had objected to what he said. I want to just show that clip real quick from yesterday's show.
Like I said, I don't know PewDiePie personally. I've never had a conversation with him. The only thing I do know about him is that he has already gotten in trouble for anti-Semitic jokes and anti-Semitic imagery. It seems like he didn't learn much from that because he pulls this again.
It's almost as if they watched the clip, because the quote that Anna just read was, he said, I'm disappointed in myself because it seems like I've learned nothing from these past controversies. So I don't know if they actually watched the clip or not, and that's not important. The point is that it is a good apology because he's saying, come on, just like Anna pointed out yesterday, you should learn from your previous mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But I wish we were done with anti-Semitism, but we aren't. I wish we were done with Nazis, but we aren't, as PewDiePie himself pointed out after Charlottesville. And I wish we were done with people using the N-word seriously, but we aren't. And so I think that he gets that now. I hope he gets it. And that's what and my main overall point from yesterday, and I'll repeat today, is this is a good moment to have a conversation about it. I believe that we can all learn from this conversation. I don't want to shut that down. There are some people you can't talk to. They have no interest of ever learning or changing or growing from a mistake. I don't, right or wrong, I don't put PewDiePie in that category, and it seems like he did learn. And it's not to say learn as in like you have to agree with our ideology or our politics. I don't know what PewDiePie's politics are at all. That's not the issue here. It's just to say, hey, if it turns out you're doing something that is deeply offensive, like calling people the worst name you could think of and associating it with black people, that's probably not a cool thing to do. Just don't be a dick. And he's saying, I get it. I think that's excellent progress and exactly why you have the conversations.
All right, well, let's have a conversation about something else. An emergency management organization is apologizing after one of its employees, possibly former employees, accidentally posted an offensive meme on social media. So this is the Chelan County Emergency Management Facebook page where this meme was posted, and they had to apologize for it. It says, all lives splatter. Nobody cares about your protest. Keep your ass out of the road. Now, like I said, they had to apologize for it. Apparently, emergency services workers this week accidentally posted an offensive meme to his department's official Facebook page after initially intending to only post it to their own personal page.
Oh, well, that's it.
The person who posted it has not been identified. I genuinely don't care what his or her identity is, but that person also included the following comment: I don't wish harm on anyone, but protesters don't belong in the road. So staff at the emergency management did release a statement saying that they feel terrible about this inappropriate and hurtful post made and that it made it onto the Facebook page. Changes have already been made to procedure to assure nothing like this will ever occur in the future.
Okay, a couple of things here. So I'm not buying any of this. I do believe that he accidentally posted it on the official page instead of his personal page. Or maybe he realized afterwards that was a bad mistake and everybody did. But that's the least relevant part of the story. So You've got a cop here apparently who thinks Black Lives Matter is a joke, and so if you're doing a protest, I'm going to call it, all lives splatter. I get it, like we get to murder you and run you over in the streets.
So I just want to quickly clarify something. I haven't read that it was a cop, and I just want to be clear about that. This is like an emergency, response, emergency management arm of the county. So we don't know if it's a cop, and I just want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Thank you, Anna. So it's the sheriff, Brian Burnett, who's making excuses. It is an unnamed emergency services worker that apparently posted this, okay? So important clarification. Now, that worker thinks, and I mean, if they're an emergency service worker and they're driving an ambulance, and they think all lives splatter, is that a good thing? I don't know, I'm deeply concerned about it. Okay, secondarily, we just had Charlottesville, where a neo-Nazi ran over somebody and murdered them, and it was considered an act of domestic terrorism. You're still posting that meme after Charlottesville.
Social media has done some pretty incredible things, right? Because people can't help themselves. People don't stop. I don't care if it's your personal Facebook page. Obviously, it's worse if it's the Facebook page that belongs to your employer and it's an emergency response organization, right? But here's the thing, just think about what you're about to post for a minute before you post it. If you have even the slightest reservation or even the slightest hint or clue that it could get you in trouble, or some people might criticize you for it because it's deeply offensive, especially given the fact that someone was just run over and killed for being a counter protester, don't post it. Just don't post it.
So, look, I know what the excuse is going to be. It's look. It's not about any particular protest or race, religion, nothing like that. It's just annoying to have people on the road, and so that's why we wanted to run them over and kill them. And we're just kidding around, man. I mean, we probably won't kill them, but I really don't care about your protest so much that we think it's funny that we would kill you. It's also so funny when the Muslim radicals go out there and drive people into people and kill them, dozens at a time and all over Europe. And that's so funny, right? Oh, that's not funny, but this is funny. Why is that not funny and this is funny?
Well,
I would argue that both are not funny.
Yeah, both are obviously not funny.
Yeah.
But they'll find excuses.
Yeah.
They'll find excuses. And look, when we covered the story of the lawmakers who wanted to pass legislation that would make it okay if someone accidentally runs over protesters who are blocking roads, people would make excuses for it. Well, you shouldn't be blocking the roads. Really? You think that calls for an execution? Like people who are blocking the road during a protest deserve to be executed?
And you're gonna say, oh, come on now, you guys are exaggerating. I mean, if you run people over, are they really gonna die?
Yeah, they're gonna die.
That's kind of what happens, and that's exactly what happened in Charlottesville with Heather Heyer. Lastly, this is a minor thing, but it's relevant to whether they're cops or emergency service workers, et cetera. And I think the attitude of the sheriff bothers me. And so anyway, nobody cares about your protests. Well, if you're the sheriff, your job is to kind of care about their protests. If you're an American and you're part of the government, your job is to protect their right to protest. So I hated Burnett's excuse of, oh, he or she accidentally posted it on the official page when he meant to be hateful on his personal page.
Right.
So it's no big deal. And so if he winds up running you over or not taking care of you after somebody else runs you over, I mean, he just did that personally. He didn't do it as an official. Well,
that's how he really feels, or how she really feels behind the scenes.
Yeah, so we were trying to cover it up. So we made a mistake in how we covered up their real feelings. So that's what we apologize for. But will we take action against this person? Or at least sit him down and talk to him and go, wait, now, you're not really gonna run over people, right? And if you're in an ambulance, and remember, let's read the Constitution together. Let's read the First Amendment together about the right to assemble and how, as part of the government, we're supposed to protect that right. Remember that there is something other than the Second Amendment in the Constitution. At least have that conversation and make us feel a little bit better that you actually care about the Constitution, our laws, and our lives. It's not too much to ask for.
Yep. All right, moving on. An NRA host recently did a segment where he aired his grievances in regard to the media referring to guns as weapons. Now, this is Grant Stinchfield, and you might have seen some of the NRA videos that he put out there before. But what you're about to watch is his reaction to an article that was written by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where they essentially talked about students who were concerned about concealed carry on campus. Now, in that piece, they referred to guns as weapons because that's what guns are. But again,
how dare you, Anna?
Is not happy about it. But don't take it from me. Let's hear from him.
The Atlanta Journal-Constitution recently wrote an article about campus carry taking effect in Georgia and the controversy surrounding it. But it's their use of the word weapon that has me bewildered. The reporter uses, quote, weapons in place of firearms or guns so many times, it just becomes bizarre. Here, fears of gun owners getting drunk and firing their weapons. I firmly believe she uses the phrase weapons over firearms in an effort to scare the uninformed. But then I realized Georgia calls their concealed carry permits a, quote, weapons carry license. I don't like that name at all. To me, the military carries weapons, guns carried for offensive purposes. I carry a firearm, a tool used for self-defense.
What?
Okay.
I mean, really, are people buying into this? Like, what? It's a weapon. I remember when I did jury duty, it was a criminal case and it had to do with attempted murder with a deadly weapon, right?
A deadly firearm.
No, but it wasn't a gun. It was a car. The car was referred to as a weapon because a car could be a deadly weapon, okay?
But it could have gone really.
The whole purpose of a gun is to serve as a weapon. Oh, you don't like that? You don't like the fact that it's a gun is meant to kill. That is the only purpose a gun is there for, right?
You say, no, wait a minute. It's I go hunting. Well, then you kill deer with it, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
I do it to defend myself, but then you shoot at human beings who you then kill, because that is the point of you're not hitting them with feathers. You're hitting them with bullets, and the bullets kill people. So here's my favorite part of this. This is political correctness run amok.
Oh my God.
And so whenever you see a conservative blame a liberal for anything, know that that is exactly what they want to do. So they say, oh, these liberals, they want political correctness. Political correctness means that a word or a phrase can be factually correct, but we don't want you using it because we've considered it to be politically incorrect, okay? So a gun is defined in the dictionary as a weapon consisting of a metal tube with mechanical attachments from which projectiles are shot by force of an explosive, a piece of ordnance, okay? So that is the dictionary definition of a gun, starts with a weapon, okay?
Well,
but that is politically incorrect now for Republicans.
Well, Stinchfield's next video will be about how much he dislikes the dictionary for defining a gun as a weapon. By the way, okay, so
it's a well-known dictionary bias.
This goes beyond him getting his feelings hurt over what he considers like defamation of his favorite toys, right? For me, the big concern is how incredibly irresponsible some Americans are with their guns. People who have legally purchased them and unfortunately don't take gun safety seriously, which is why we see story after story of a young person, a kid, having access to their parents' gun, either shooting themselves accidentally or shooting another family member. And so I always want to really emphasize the discussion of gun safety when we get into these conversations, because oftentimes, more often than not, everyone goes into their corner and they start yelling at each other about whether or not there should be gun control. Okay, well, if we can't agree on that, then in the very least, let's at least take these guns seriously. They are deadly weapons. They are weapons. We should take them seriously. And in that video that he did, he acts like, no, this is not a weapon. This is all fun and games. There's no problem here. It is a weapon. That is what it is. If that gets your feelings hurt, then go educate yourself on what it is.
It seems like he got triggered. Interesting. All right, but Anna, you're not being fair. It's not a weapon, it's a firearm. So I looked up the dictionary definition of firearm. A small arms weapon as a rifle or pistol from which a projectile is fired by gunpowder. So you didn't even bother to look up any of the definitions.
Is he upset at cops that say drop your weapon?
So, hey.
Does he get his feelings hurt then?
Okay, he is a very special snowflake. So if you call his weapon by the wrong name, he's gonna get triggered, and God knows what he'll do.
Guys, if you're in favor of guns, you want lax gun regulation, okay, I hear you. But really, like when you watch that video, do you really agree with what he just said? Really? I mean, just take a moment to reevaluate. Like, look at your life, look at your choices. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let's move on to the other portion of a gun story. A GOP lawmaker is reviving legislation that would essentially legalize silencers in the United States. Now, silencers are currently legal, but an individual who wants to obtain them has to go through quite a bit of obstacles in order to do so. And part of the reason why is because silencers silence guns, and they're oftentimes used by criminals. So making them widely available is probably not the best idea. Now, Representative Jeff Duncan had originally presented this bill, but after the shooting involving Representative Scalise, they decided to kind of retire it for a little while, and now they're bringing it back. Now, Duncan introduced the silencer provision in a broader bill known as the Sportsman Heritage and Recreational Enhancement Act, or SHARE Act. Now,
because assassins are sportsmen, so you know.
Okay, so what is his argument in favor of the silencers? Because here's the reality: law enforcement against legalizing or making these silencers easier to obtain, right?
Blue lives matter.
Okay, so
blue lives matter.
Cops don't like it. It's used by really bad guys out there, criminals. So what's his reasoning? He's like, well, you know, the thing is, these hunters go out there, they're hunting, it's loud, and I really want to make sure I protect their hearing. I kid you not, that is the excuse that he's giving, which is unbelievable. And by the way, this isn't just a Republican thing. There are 4 Democrats who have co-sponsored this legislation. I'll give you their names in just a second. But you know, I'm also concerned about ear protection for hunters, which is why I would recommend this. Let's go to graphic 14.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks good. Or this, let's go to graphic 15.
Or get Beats or something.
Or here's another one, let's take a look. All right, here's a hunter modeling one of these devices.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looks like his ears are safe. Okay, we're earmuffing the hunters. Okay, look, here's the thing. This is nonsense, and that excuse just further reinforces my feelings of how nonsensical this is. And in terms of the Democrats who have supported this, you have Representative Gene Green from Texas, Representative Henry Queller from Texas, Representative Colin Peterson, Representative Peter DeFazio.
Really, DeFazio is very progressive. That's disappointing to see that.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so now, the part of the story that amazes me actually is, as Anna pointed out, it's not, we're America. It's not like you can't buy a silencer if you want to assassinate someone. You can. We believe in weapons, all sorts of weapons. It just takes you a little longer. So what the government says is, hey, you know what? You got to submit for fingerprints and take a photograph in order to purchase a silencer, and it might take all the way up to 9 months. Now, the people who don't want to be fingerprinted and have their picture taken when they're buying a silencer are the people who are usually going to murder someone. Now, if you're going to go shoot deer and you're really, really concerned about your hearing and the Beats thing is not working and etc., okay, then okay, golly gee, you know what? I'll think a little bit ahead here. And if you, what conservatives always tell me about warrantless wiretapping and other things is, if you haven't done anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about, right? Why, are you planning to kill someone? Okay, then.
Why do you guys need silencers? There has to be a better reason. Like if ear protection is the only reason you have, and there are already devices that people can just easily buy, you need to come up with a better reason, bro.
I have one. Weapons are generally like, you know, they're quiet. Firearms are really loud to where the headphones just don't work. So all of our good Americans who carry firearms for protection and hunting purposes, I mean, they're so loud in their ears, it doesn't happen. So they need silencers for their things because they're cooler Americans. It's a toy thing is all it is. You know how much cooler it is if you have a gun with a silencer on it and you show off to your friends, hey, check this out.
Yeah,
I'm cool.
It's also a weapons manufacturing thing. They want to make money.
Firearms manufacturing thing. Stop with this. What are you doing?
With the whole weapons talk, they're just firearms.
I'm sorry for the defamatory language toward the gun, okay?
Okay, no, but Jared is exactly right. They saw it in the movies. They want to buy another cool toy. And I hear you, brother. When I hear the movie, you know what? I might even have it here. Okay, it sounds cool.
Does it?
I think so. Okay, I'm going to keep it real.
Sounds like a struggling fart. That's what it sounds
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's your interpretation.
Okay.
And you want to buy those toys, and the manufacturers want to sell those toys, but sometimes those toys are used by really dangerous men, and sometimes to kill cops. So I think it's okay if we have your fingerprints. If you're shooting deer, you're not going to have any issues with it at all. But if your gun is used to murder someone, at least we know who the assassin is. Not too much to ask for. But for these guys, what do you mean, man? It impinges on my freedom. I'm a sportsman and also a snowflake with really bad hearing.
Can we also just finally accept the fact that Republican lawmakers and the NRA only pretend to support cops? Because in reality, they're in favor of armor-piercing bullets, which cops are obviously against. They're in favor of these silencers, which cops are obviously against. They don't care about Blue Lives Matter either. They care about profits, because in America, profits always are considered more important than human lives, regardless of who you are or what you do for a living.
That's such a great point, and I'll end on this. So when Black Lives Matter does a protest, that apparently endangers cops with their voices. But when people buy armor-piercing bullets and silencers that cops are worried might murder them, that apparently is not a real issue. So bullets that can kill cops, not an issue. People saying, hey, please stop killing us in a protest, which is protected by the First Amendment, that's the real issue. So those are the guys that Fox News, et cetera, calls terrorists. The guys who buy the silencers and the armor-piercing bullets. I don't know if you know this, but not a lot of people, bad guys wearing armor, it's usually the cops, okay? But those guys who are intending to buy things that normally kill cops, good Americans, good patriotic Americans. Insane priorities. Okay.
Yep.
All right, we got to take a break.
Yep.
Okay, when we come back, did 60 Minutes purposely try to make Steve Bannon look bad? Or does he do a good enough job of that on his own? And also, Anna's new favorite person in the world is actually a sportscaster, and he has broken America's heart. We will share that story with you when we return. All right, back on TYT. Mark Sean Rushow writes in, there is a bigger issue with copyright claims on YouTube that goes beyond PewDiePie. Well, that's certainly very true.
Yeah, we know all about it.
Trust us. In fact, we're gonna do a recreation for you guys just to avoid one copyright issue in a minute. Anyway, Digital Shard says, free scumbag, drop your self-defense tool. Very amused by that. In the post game today, we're gonna go old school. An old friend is back. So we have a supplies guest for you guys, and so I just want to save it for the post game. TYTnetwork.com/join, and our members of the day are James Butler and Jennifer Giannunzio. Jennifer, good to have you as a member. Okay, said the guy whose name is unpronounceable. Okay, forward, what do you got?
All right. Did 60 Minutes purposely make Steve Bannon look bad on camera? Or did he manage to do that all by himself without any help from CBS whatsoever? Now, this question was raised by Peter Duke, who seems to be a Trump supporter and who also posts videos on YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know anything about this guy. I just think that his conspiracy theory about Bannon is hilarious.
Yes, so he's a self-proclaimed photographer, which I suppose there's no reason to doubt him, except that he comes up with funny conspiracy theories. He also had photo sets that he had dedicated to Make America Great Again, hence a Trump supporter, but also to, quote, butthurt losers. So very classy.
He's butthurt about Steve Bannon not looking attractive enough on 60 Minutes.
Every single thing that a conservative does is projection. You guys get triggered so easily. Oh, you made Steve Bannon look bad, I'm melting.
Now look, to be fair to him, Steve Bannon did look really bad on 60 Minutes. In fact, there's a video of like a pulse in his neck.
Look at it on the right-hand side.
But why is that? Oh, it's making me so uncomfortable. Oh, okay. Make it stop. Okay, so did CBS do that? Did they make his neck pulsate like that? I don't know.
Did CBS put the lizard inside Steve Bannon? I don't think so. Look, we're not the ones with the lizard people theories. The Alex Jones crowd is, right? And they're right-wingers. So, I mean, if ever there was a lizard person trying to get out of the skin, because I don't know if you've seen some of the videos. I saw like 30 seconds of one of the videos. It's like some poor guy like 1,000 miles away in the video.
Yes.
And they're like, I don't know, he's trying to get out of his skin. You can, dude, no lizard has ever tried to get out of their skin more than what was happening on 60 Minutes. Okay.
This is insane.
There are no lizard people.
Okay.
Steve Bannon just looks bad.
Okay, there's more.
Okay.
So Peter Duke believes that they purposely used saturation to make his eyes look bloodshot and his lips look redder than they normally are.
Yes.
And then he also believes that they purposely placed orange curtains behind Bannon because those orange curtains make his skin look worse. And then the curtains behind Charlie Rose were purposely light orange, which made Charlie Rose look much better. Which, by the way, look, I love Charlie Rose, like no hate, but like, let's go to graphic 23. Charlie Rose looks like Charlie Rose.
Yeah, and they're like, you can't tell the makeup on Charlie Rose's face. I'm like, no, I can, it's right there. I can see it. And his hair is unkempt. I mean, God bless his heart. By the way, we labeled him Steve Bannon, fake news. That's Charlie Rose, obviously. So look, maybe it wasn't shot great, but it wasn't like, we're gonna make Charlie Rose look really pretty. Steve Bannon looked like he had a lot to drink last night. They also made him go to a bar the night before. Okay, I don't know if he was drinking. I have no idea.
He's not a good-looking dude. Like I don't
That's
like.
okay. I'm not a good-looking dude.
I don't like commenting on people's looks, but Steve Bannon is not like some freaking go-getter Lothario with like the ladies, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Steve Bannon's so good-looking," and then somehow CBS made him look like he was on a bender last night.
This is not from CBS, just to be clear.
That's just Steve Bannon being Steve Bannon.
Yeah, and his nose there in every picture looks 1,000 times more red than it did on CBS. You know why? They put makeup on him to make him look better, not worse. And it's a hard task. And by the way, look at his eyes there and there. It looks a little like it's got red right around it. Of course, that's what he looks like.
No, but that guy thinks he's superior
to other people, yes.
To everyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's not white, right? Like
Yeah.
he thinks he's superior to my husband. Like like if humanity like depended on me procreating with that guy, I'd be like, all right, well, we're all fucked. Bye.
Okay.
Like,
bye, Felicia.
Like there's no way in hell okay, but anyway, he thinks he's superior. Let's move on. All right.
We had a nice run. That's gone. And his last words to humanity is, it was a good run.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, Earth.
All right. An ESPN sports reporter has gone viral. Now, this happened during Monday Night Football, something that I typically don't care about, but somehow Sergio Dip managed to make me care a lot about Monday Night Football. Now, he was acting as a sideline reporter, and unfortunately, since it was his debut as a sideline reporter, and typically he does his sports broadcasting in Spanish, it didn't go off as smoothly as one would hope. Now, I would love to show you the original video, but we can't for copyright reasons, and so as a result, we got Jason Rubin, our lovely sports reporter, to recreate the performance of Sergio Dip.
Before we go to the video, if you didn't watch it, you don't have to watch it. Jason nailed it. He's saying word for word what Sergio said during the broadcast and doing a hell of a job of acting just like Sergio, and he almost kind of looks like him too. So if you didn't see it, you don't have to. Here it is.
Beth, Coach, it's a pleasure to be with you guys here on the field from up close. Just watching Coach Vance Joseph from here. You watch him now on the screen. This diversity in his background is helping him a lot tonight. Quarterback at Colorado, defensive back in the NFL, and here he is having the time of his life this night, making his head coaching debut.
Okay. So that was word for word what he said. We just reread it. Check out Jason Rubin on youtube.com/TYT Sports, by the way. Yes.
So I am missing some context that I want you to fill in the blanks for.
Yes.
Okay, so this was a legendary game for a number of different reasons. Now, the thing that people kind of latched onto was the word diversity that Dip used during his sideline reporting. Can you just hash that out a little bit?
Yeah, it wasn't that legendary. It was just a fairly normal game. I mean, he's a young black coach, that's fine. And Sergio is from ESPN Deportes. And he's a young 29-year-old broadcaster. And so he's also a minority. He's saying like, it's a nice thing that Vance Joseph is getting this break. Was the coach on the other side also a minority?
I think that was the thing, yeah.
Yeah, because the Chargers just changed their coach.
Yeah.
Okay, really not that important a game.
Oh, okay, whatever. I mean,
Super Bowl with 2 black head coaches. That was one of the things that was a big actual like historic thing when it was a Super Bowl coached by 2 black coaches.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And by the way, so more context here. Normally there's only 1 Monday night game, but today, but in the beginning of the season they are now doing 2 Monday night games to launch the season. So there's like an A crew and there's a B crew, and they're giving Sergio a shot in the B crew.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you're like, God bless your heart.
Okay. So look, this story so far, in my opinion, is kind of schwang, wang, wang. Okay, so here's a sideline reporter. He didn't do so great. But here's where the story, in my opinion, does get interesting.
There was that one line in there, he said his diversity helped him tonight. That could have been the hook of sounding like, which this is not what he meant, which we'll get to, but that's what could have rung in some people's ears is the Rush Limbaugh thing, saying he's getting his credit because he's black, not because of any of his
Yeah, but I think most of the heat was not about politics. It was just like, he didn't do that well. Okay, so, and a lot of people were making fun, but in like kind of a sweet way. They weren't being, the stuff I saw wasn't that mean.
Yeah, they were using this line. What is it? Oh, boom goes the dynamite or something.
It's the internet thing.
That's the internet thing where it went disastrously.
Okay.
Right, and that's the reference to that.
So people kept using that and tweeting to him, and I'm sure it wasn't a comfortable thing for him to experience. So he posted a video on his Twitter account, and it's just so sweet and so earnest. Like, okay, let's take a look.
So what I wanted to do was to show some respect, making my debut as a minority on American national TV, the biggest stage out there, on the most heartfelt day in this great country made up by immigrants. And on some people's perspective, it all went wrong. But I truly meant no disrespect, because all I wanted to do was to show some love to these two historical head coaches.
Okay, so here's the thing. You guys helped us raise money for reporters, and I really think we need to hire him.
Oh, of course.
Like, I think that we need to, we need a comprehensive sports reporting crew. And we just don't have, like, the Latino perspective in our sports department, in my opinion, is a little underrepresented, and we need to hire Sergio immediately.
You love Latino men so much, it's absurd.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
He's a hard worker.
Okay.
And he,
yeah,
he
no,
wants
I don't know.
more opportunities, and I want to give it to him.
Okay, so look, I don't know that he should be. I feel bad saying that. Anyway,
he could get better though, James. He could get better. Look, here's the thing. Most people, especially when they're placed in a new role, like, you know how terrible we were on camera? I cringe at old videos.
I was awesome from the start.
No, you weren't. You need the opportunity to improve and grow. And so I'm glad he got that opportunity. I hope they keep giving him that opportunity because he wants to do better.
Okay, or it could be that he is a good looking guy who had a cute little like suit on with a little lapel flower and seemingly reading that from his hotel room after he was devastated after checking Twitter. Anyway, but to be fair, let's show you a really small clip of me when I got started in Miami and see how well I did back then.
Guys, excuse me, don't push me.
It actually got way worse from there. That's from a scene from Mad as Hell, but if you watch the whole clip, I asked Kevin Spacey, why did you come out and talk about the gay thing? Oh, yeah. So Sergio, I'm with you, brother. Hang in there, hang in there. And now that he did that cute video, a lot of people are on his side. They're like, come on, you got ESPN, you got to give him another chance.
They have to.
And not because of the Anna's reasons.
No, I think that there's a lot of untapped talent there.
That she'd like to tap.
There is. I'm married, you know.
So none of that. That put her in trouble.
Put me in trouble.
Okay.
All right, but one final point that I think is important to bring up in regard to this story. Can we go to graphic 34 real quick? So just there's the post that he put up there. Now let's go to graphic 22. Sorry, I know. All right, he thinks he's superior to that guy. Let's just do it one more time, okay? Steve Bannon thinks he is superior to that guy. Just want to put it all out there. Want to put it all out there.
Okay. Now, you know what happened? Now it's out there.
Okay.
Now it's out there.
Now it's out there.
Okay. All right. Give Sergio one more chance, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. One more story before we call it a night. Hillary Clinton's book is getting a lot of attention because she has written some pretty insane things in that book. Now, one of the more insane things that was brought to light by, unfortunately, a Breitbart reporter was a portion of her book where she compares herself to Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Oops.
All right, so let me show you that portion of the book, read it to you so you kind of know where she's coming from. She says, crowds at Trump rallies called for my imprisonment more times than I can count. They shouted, guilty, guilty, like the religious zealots in Game of Thrones chanting shame, shame, while Cersei Lannister walked back to the Red Keep. Okay, so for those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones and have no idea who Cersei Lannister is, she's best known for being the ruthless, power-hungry villainess who is responsible for the deaths of thousands just so she can sit on the Iron Throne. Wow.
Not the comparison you want to make. So yes, that was the one scene where you felt slight sympathy for Cersei Lannister as she walked and they said,
shame, shame.
Which, by the way, is a somewhat appropriate analogy, although not in the way that she meant it, because between Cersei Lannister and the religious zealots, you had to choose between the lesser of two evils. and you were stuck in a pretty bad situation and you really didn't want to go with the religious zealots, but Cersei Lannister wasn't much of a choice either. So if you're gonna try to be cool, just do a little bit of research and ask some people around you, hey, is Cersei a good guy or a bad guy? Is that an appropriate analogy? Should I put a slight caveat to that? Not that I'm saying that I'm like Cersei, I'm just saying. It's a typical fail from a campaign that was otherwise great. If it wasn't for Bernie, Comey, Russia, the weather, and everything else, she would have won.
One really small thing, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but every time anybody brings anything up and you guys laugh about it, I don't go, haha, like I know what I'm saying. I'll say, I don't know what that means. And I'm not in the spotlight. If I'm running for president or used to be, and I'm putting something out, I would say, what does this mean? Before I say it.
Yeah.
Simple.
If you watch it, you know Cersei's not who you want to compare yourself to. If you don't watch it, just pull somebody aside. Almost every other person other than JR watches the show in America. Be like, hey, should I compare myself to Cersei or is that a bad idea? I hear there's a lot of bad guys in Game of Thrones. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna write a book soon where I compare myself to Littlefinger because I think Lord Baelish nailed it. Anyway, all right, chaos is a ladder. We gotta go. Guys, I do have overtime for you guys and post-game, TYTnetwork.com/join. Bye-bye.